In this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to access primary scientific literature. So it used to be in the pre-digital era that scientific literature was published in scientific journals. And if you wanted to have access to that information, you would have to get yourself a copy of the journal. So either you'd have to have an individual subscription to that journal, or what was more realistic is that you would be affiliated with a research institution or a university whose library would have subscriptions to the top scientific journals. And if you wanted to, access a particular article, you'd have to go down to the library and check out that particular volume and find the article and make yourself a copy. But now in the digital era, the journals have digitized all that information, and it's available through the internet if you know how to find it. So how do you go about finding a scientific journal article? Well, one of my favorite tools is the National Center for Biotechnology Information. And you can find it just by going NCBI in Google. And you'll see that it's the first hit, National Center for Biotechnology Information. If you want to go there directly, their website is www.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov. And that's a great site to bookmark if you plan to be perusing the scientific literature. So I've gone ahead and I've clicked on the link to take us to that website. And you'll see here, it looks very much like a search engine. And that's in fact what it is. It's a search engine for biomedical, biotechnology, and life science research. So it's basically the Google for the biosciences. So we can go ahead and do a search here. So let's say we're interested in vaccines. So let's go ahead and type that and hit enter. And you'll see that the NCBI in its databases is cataloging a number of different types of data sets or types of information. And the ones that we're going to concern ourselves with primarily are PubMed, shown here, and PubMed Central. So PubMed is a repository for scientific and medical journal abstracts. PubMed Central is the same thing. The difference is that all of the journal articles that are within the PubMed Central database are free and available to anybody with an internet connection. That's not necessarily true of PubMed. PubMed will catalog all of these journal articles and share the abstracts of these articles, but you may find you need a subscription to a particular journal to access a particular article. And so that's where being affiliated with a university or a research institute would be of great benefit to you, because in all likelihood, a university with a good research library will have paid subscriptions to all of these journals, and you'll be able to access everything on PubMed without any problem. So we'll go into PubMed for the purposes of this demonstration, just because it's a much more comprehensive database. As you can see, it has a lot more citations in it than PubMed Central. And I think this number is actually inaccurate because there are millions of citations in PubMed. So I don't know why it's, it's because we search for vaccines. Yeah, that makes sense. So what it's telling us here is that in PubMed, there are 242,545 citations for vaccines, and in PubMed Central, you'll see there's about half of that. So if you go to the free database, the amount of information there is somewhat limited. So let's click on PubMed. So what this is showing us here is our search results. So all 242,545 citations in the scientific literature to vaccines. So you can see searching for a very broad piece of information is not necessarily the most useful. Excuse me. So we can make this more focused if we really wanted to drill down on a particular topic. So let's say we wanted to search for the influenza vaccine. So we'll do that. That trims it down pretty significantly. So we went from 250 something odd thousand articles now to 29,000, which is still significant and will take more time than you have to dig through. So it really does help if you can be as specific as possible. The other tool that's available to you is you can search by article type. So if you're interested in the primary scientific literature, you can just kind of look at these abstracts, but you may want to limit it to review articles. So as has been mentioned previously in the class, review articles are kind of a step back from the primary scientific literature. They're kind of someone that's an expert in the field kind of summarizes the state of the field and introduces the concepts to someone that's maybe not an expert in the field. So review articles are really a great place to start if you're diving into a new topic, assuming that you have kind of the basic book learning that you'd find in a typical molecular biology textbook. If you've got those basics under your belt, going to a review article may help you become familiar with a particular field before you dive right into the primary literature, where if you don't have kind of that basic background, you would most certainly be lost. So let's say we want to look at review articles. So here it's telling us, I've checked review, that there are 3,674 review articles in the database about the influenza vaccine. So you can kind of scroll down and see, a number of these reviews. We can also sort by text availability. So if we wanted to search for articles where the full text is available to us and we don't have to pay a subscription to access it, we can click on that. And you can see that again limits us now to 954 articles. But in theory, all of these articles we should be able to click on and read right now. The other thing that you can do is you don't have to search by a topic necessarily. I'm just going to turn off the review and the free options. You can search by other criteria. So for instance, maybe we're interested in a particular author. So maybe we want to look up research articles that have J. Craig Venter as an author. So we'll search last name and initials. So here it's gone and it's pulled up 271 articles that have J. Craig Venter in them. And you can see this first article, he's listed as an author. Same with the second article and so forth. So we can search by topics. We can search by article titles. If you remember the name of an article, you can search by authors. You can search by research institutes. It's basically like Google. You can use it in many different ways. So let's say we're interested in D-peptide HIV entry inhibitors, a certain class of therapeutic compounds. You can see that even something as specific as that still returns 11 hits from PubMed. And you can see here, let's kind of work through one of these examples. So here we see a particular paper. Here's the title of the research paper. Here are the authors. Here's the journal article information, kind of when it was made available and so forth. So this is telling us it's from the Journal of Virology, 2010, November, the 84th volume, the 21st issue, and these are the page numbers. And everything in the PubMed database is assigned a PubMed ID, a PM ID. So this is a specific number that you can use to keep track of articles within the PubMed database. And it's telling us here that this article is actually free, and we can access it through PubMed Central. So if we click on this article, it'll bring us up to this page here, where it again gives us the journal information right up here at the top. It gives us the title of the article, gives us the list of authors. If we're really interested, we can click on this author information tab, and it will tell us where particular authors worked. So one of these authors has an affiliation that we can see. It'll give us the abstract, which is basically the summary of this research article, and it'll show us images from this paper. And along the right-hand side, it'll link out to similar articles. So it's really helpful, if we know that this is an area we're really interested in, we can look over here and we can find other papers that share something in common with the work we're looking at. We can see here that we can actually link out to the article itself through either the Journal of Virology or through PubMed Central. So, and it tells us that in both cases it's free, so it really doesn't matter which link we click on. So we'll go ahead and click on just the Journal of Virology, and it'll take us to the Journal of Virology. Each journal has a slightly different online format, but this is pretty common, where we have kind of an electronic text version of the article here, which we can scroll down and read. But if we'd like, what I personally prefer to do is actually to open up a PDF. We can actually show the PDF in the full window. And so this is what the article would have looked like in the print edition with all the final typesetting and formatting of the journal. So this is kind of the complete version. It's probably it's the one that I prefer to read. Some people might prefer to read the text that's made available on the website, like here. That's just not my preference. So that's pretty much how PubMed works in a nutshell. And so now you should be able to use it to search for primary research that's of interest to you.